Wow. Wow. It does. Thoughts on the suppress? Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another First Impressions video. In today's First Impressions video, we are taking a look at the brand new Resilient Suppressors Jessie's Girl. And before we get this video started, I just want to give a super quick shout out to a brand new channel sponsor of mine, Gray Man Tactical. They make a bunch of really cool stuff, vehicle organizers, bag organizers, and a lot of stuff in between that, and it's really worth checking out. I also have a discount code for them. It's GMT10 at checkout, and that gets you 10% off of your order. They don't pay me for this ad space. I'm an affiliate with them, so it really helps me out if you click that link in the description or the comments section. Anything you purchase gives me a little bit of a kickback. I can't thank you guys enough. Looking at a variety of different suppressors lately, and I don't really know why. I just got a kind of a kick to start reviewing a bunch of cans, and that's where the channel has been recently, and I have a bunch more suppressors for review coming down the pipeline that you guys are going to begin to see. And you guys know I have been really interested in checking out companies that are not kind of like the big players in the suppressor world. And I think these slightly smaller companies are going to quickly pave the road for the new suppressor market here in the United States. Of course, full disclosure, what is my relationship with Resilient Suppressors? They actually contacted me, wanted to know if I would take a look at the brand new Jessie's Girl suppressor that they were going to be coming out with here a few weeks ago, and I said absolutely. Of course, there was no exchange of money for this review, and there was nothing saying that I had to do a positive review or anything like that. They just wanted to know what I thought of the can. So of course, as many of you have probably noticed by now with the size of the suppressor, that this is a rimfire can. As far as the overall size of the can, it is incredibly comparable to pretty much any other 22 can on the market. It's about the exact same size as the Sparrow and the Rugged Oculus, which are two of my favorite rimfire cans. And you'll notice that it has an awesome external appearance, and they use a few different metals in the design of the can, which I thought was a little bit interesting. You generally don't see that a lot. So the internal baffles of the suppressor, the entire stack, is made of 17-4 stainless, making it, of course, incredibly strong. It is going to be capable of shooting up to 5.7 by 28, and it is full auto rated for 22 long rifle. Again, kind of like the gold standard for a rimfire can. And the outer tube of the suppressor is made of titanium, and on that outer shell they got this awesome like knurling in the top and the rear of the can, and this is going to aid a little bit in taking the suppressor off, gives you something to hold on to, but it also looks sweet. It kind of like bridges the gap between a bare bones 22 can, it's just a tube, and something that's just overkill where there's just too much stuff going on. I think this is a really nice overall design where it still has some class, but it also looks very cool. And then the third type of material used is going to be on the end cap, and that is made of aluminum. Now, of course, there's many different reasons why Resilient decided to choose those different types of metals, and I'm sure all those reasons are going to be listed on their website and in the manual and all of those things. But ultimately, I think that is a good mix of material to try to cut the weight down in the areas that you can, increase the strength in the areas that you can, all while trying to keep the price down as reasonably as possible. And the price of this can is, I think, $4.49 right now on their website. So it's really not bad. It is in that very competitive wheelhouse with other rimfire cans that are out there. Of course, another design feature here on the end cap is a flash hider. And yes, is it overkill? Sure, maybe a little bit. Are you getting a ton of flash from a 22 long rifle? Probably not. But you know what? I do have a little night vision pistol, which is the primary host that I was running this can on in this video in the B-roll. It's the Mark IV Tactical, so you got a rail underneath, and I can mount my Streamlight TLR VIR2. And with this can on the end, with that flash hider, you're going to cut down on flash signature even more. Not like there really is any to begin with. And it looks pretty cool. Again, it's a small feature, and I think Resilient does a great job with not making it super goober and like overkill. They could have easily done that because a lot of companies do that. I think it's a very small finish that just kind of aids in the cool factor, and I believe they're the only 22 can out there that currently includes a flash hider. So some people are going to like that, others are not. You'll also notice that that looks like a very familiar pattern. That fits perfectly for a socket on the end, so you can pop the socket on, you can screw that off. Unfortunately, I can't do that here on YouTube because gotta love YouTube's policies, but if you screw that off, the baffle stack comes out. You have a really unique baffle design. Up here you have standard keyed baffles, and then the two baffles in the rear, instead of just having one keyhole down, the baffle is cut actually up and down with the relief cut, and those are the front two baffles that you're going to be seeing in the beginning. And also the baffles are lettered, so that way you know where they go in the stack and you're not putting them in the wrong places. As far as the performance of this can, it was excellent. I had absolutely no complaints with it at the range. With a rimfire suppressor, I almost think they all sound great most of the time, and I almost pay attention to a bad rimfire suppressor way more than the good ones. It is, if you mess a rimfire can up as far as how quiet it sounds, you're really doing something wrong. There are a lot of bad ones out there, so, again, just be aware of that. As far as this and how it compares to other rimfire cans out there, it sounded excellent. I had absolutely no complaints about the tone. There was no audible first round pop that I could hear, so that is another huge benefit. I shot it on a number of hosts, a Tippmann M422 SBR. I shot it on my Mark IV and also the Bergera B14R, and that has the longest barrel of the bunch. We shot Remington's Subsonic 22 long rifle. That, of course, sounded excellent. The loudest sound on all the guns was either the firing pin or the action moving and the rounds slapping the dirt downrange. That ammunition, side note, was actually 100% reliable, so that's cool. The subsonic ammo sounded excellent. I had absolutely no complaints there out of all the hosts. I also shot some high-velocity Winchester Super X, the 22 long rifle that comes in the 222 round boxes, and that performed really, really well out of the Mark IV and also the M422 from Tippmann. But you're going to notice that in that M422 and the B14R, that supersonic ammo is reaching supersonic speeds out of those barrels. So at the shooter's ear, it still sounded excellent. Downrange, you're still hearing that supersonic crack. So that's something that you're going to get with any supersonic ammunition, even if it is 22 long rifle, especially out of the Bergera. On camera, you can't really hear a discernible difference from suppressed versus unsuppressed, but I can say that at the shooter's ear perspective, it did sound pretty quiet, and I, of course, had no need for hearing protection at all when we were shooting it suppressed. As far as heat dissipation of the can, you kind of have some interesting things going on. The outer shell seemed to heat up pretty quickly, being titanium. Titanium generally is going to heat up quickly, but it cools quickly. And the steel baffles in there are going to heat up a little bit slower, but they also cool a little bit slower. So I thought that was interesting. Overall, I didn't see any alarming heat increase when rapid fire shooting this suppressor. It did get a little bit hot to the touch after some mag dumps, as to be anticipated. However, it cooled really quickly because the outer shell is still titanium, and maybe that is by design. That part I'm not entirely sure. Unfortunately, I am not a big rimfire caliber guy. I just have 22 long rifle, so that was the only thing we were able to test this on at this range day. Now, if I get something in 5.7 by 28 in the future, I would definitely like to try this out on it, or a 22 Magnum or anything else like that. I think it'd be really interesting to see how it sounds. But I think primarily with a rimfire can, people are running 22. It's rare that you see somebody running other calibers than that through a rimfire can. That's just my experience. But this can do it if you have it. It is slightly wider than a Mark IV bull barrel. That's just for size comparison. So you got a little bit of excess, but it still fit perfectly fine on anything that I had it on. And because of that flash hider and the knurling, it looks sick on the end of whatever you put it on. It really is a good looking rimfire can. I find that in a rifle can, I like that old school just tube look, or even in a PCC can. But in a rimfire, it does look a little bit more boring, if I'm being completely honest, when it's just a tube on the end there. Because it's so tiny, it just looks like almost an extension of the barrel most of the time. Some people dig that look, but I think it is pretty cool that they switched it up a little bit. I've been super interested in Resilient Suppressors, following them on Instagram and all that good stuff because of the Putnik. I need a Putnik here on the channel. Resilient. I'm fiending for it, guys. If you are watching this video, please, dear God, send me a Putnik, because I need Putnik on the channel. So that's been pretty cool. It's interesting to see a company just kind of switch it up a little bit, make some really cool different designs. And a common theme here is I've been searching for companies that are kind of just breaking down that wall that has been here in the suppressor community for a very long time in the United States, and totally switching it up with good cans at a reasonable price with great quality control, something you're not seeing that much recently in big players, and also great people. Every one of these companies, including Resilient, that I've talked to privately, have been awesome. They've all been great people to talk to, and it seems like they really are awesome companies from the ground up. And that's going to be a common theme with a lot of these cans that you're going to be seeing surfacing here on my channel. That is going to wrap up this first impressions video on the Jessie's Girl Rimfire Suppressor. If you have any other questions about this can or anything else on my channel, comment those questions down below. You guys know I'll absolutely get back to you. While you're down there, head up to the description, check out those links for the ways to support the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more great videos coming soon.